4-day for Pete. The body is 44-36 since football season began. We've got Thursday night football tonight. We've got 3 winner-take-all game 3s in the baseball postseason. Pete, where are you going?
Let's start with the baseball. 3 on tap. Padres money line and Guardians money line. I think they'll both win these games pretty easily. And I also think that's another bet that's coming in. I also think the Yankees are going to win, but I don't like any of the odds that are in that game except for Aaron Judge. 2+ total bases, that's at -103. So 3 bets in the baseball. Let's go to the football. And the Rams, -8.5. I can't see anything other than that in that ball game. It might be 10 points, 12 points separating the Rams and the Niners with no Purdy. And then Stafford, 230+ passing yards at -127. And Mac Jones, we're going to have all the confidence in the world in him that we're going to bet first pass attempt being incomplete at +210.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last one that you're taking there, Pete?
Mac Jones at +210 for his first pass to be incomplete.
I mean, you got issues making a bet like that. First pass to be incomplete. I mean, look, it's 2-1. You get double the money if you win. Why not? Go crazy. Go crazy, Pete. I'm not going to bet any of the baseball games today. I think I was very fortunate to go 5-0 on baseball combined the last 2 days. So don't want to get too greedy. 3 winner-take-all game 3s. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy them. But I do have a couple of bets for this Thursday night football game. Pete, I'm with you. I think the Rams destroy the Niners tonight. I think the Niners are quite literally, punting on this game tonight. So I think this will be a 17-point game in the third quarter, and both teams will basically take their foot off the gas. And also because, look, they're going to play each other again down the road. And so I think, the Rams will try to race out to a 2-score lead and then try to just sit on the ball and run out the clock. And I think if the Niners get down 2 scores, they're going to say, well, we're not going to put anything on tape that this team can use against us down the road when we play each other in week 10. So screw it. We'll take the loss, and that'll be that. And so I think this is going to be a pretty boring game. I think it's going to be a terrible game. And honestly, I think the final score is going to be like 24-6 or 24-13. So give me the Rams -8.5, and give me the under. Give me the under 44.5 in this one. I just don't see how Mac Jones moves the freaking football down the field, throwing to Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson and Jake Tonjes. And this Rams defense has been pretty damn good. This Rams secondary has improved a lot. But then again, that is still probably the one area where you could attack this team is through the air. And the Niners have no passing game. They got no passing game. So I just don't see how Mac Jones is going to step in and do anything. And then, that brings me to the last bet here. Christian McCaffrey under 126.5 rushing plus receiving yards. That is an absurd number. An absurd number. And I know that he averages actually more than that. Right? Week 1, McCaffrey had 142 rushing plus receiving yards. Week 2, he had 107. Week 3, he had 140. And this past week, he had 141. But that's an absurd, That's an absurd number for a Thursday night game when the Niners have literally no other weapons. Like, what do you think the Rams' number one thing they're scheming for on defense is stop McCaffrey? And also, the Niners are dumber than I thought if they get down by 2 scores and they continue to hand the ball off to McCaffrey 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, throwing him the ball 5, 6, 7 times. Like, his day should honestly be done at the end of the third quarter if this is a 2-score game. So, at the risk of getting McCaffrey hurt, just to try to keep this game even remotely competitive, I just don't see it happening. I'm going under on McCaffrey, under on the total, and Rams -8.5. Let's finish up with Todd in Tampa here on the Pat Boyle Show on the phones. Todd, what's going on?
Yeah, let's get down to business, buddy. I don't understand. Let's talk Yankees-Red Sox, because I heard you on the post game. You did an excellent job on a thriller.
Hey, thanks, bro. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm a Rays fan, but since we choked it away, I'm pulling for the Yankees. Caballero, you better understand something, boy. he got traded from the Rays to the Yankees. If you're on base late in the game to steal a base, you make sure you're head first and you're safe over there. Okay, these are one-run ball games. I don't understand why this Red Sox-Yankees game for once in the last 20 years should be on NBC. It's just going to be a classic.
All right, hey Todd, I'll make sure Jose Caballero gets the message, and then I will forward your complaint to Rob Manfred. See if we can get this game moved to NBC in the next couple hours here. Thanks to Pete. Thanks to Pete the Body. Thanks to Marco Belletti. We got 3 winner-take-all game 3s to talk about tomorrow, and what should be a thrilling Rams-Niners game. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Pat Boyle Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
Jota Imanga.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Boy, I want to talk about proving NFL teams right. I don't think I've seen a more unserious performance in a press conference or media gaggle than what I saw from Shedeur Sanders yesterday. What's up? This is Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray out, Andrew Perloff off. So you got me and you got Mr. Bogush, Andrew Bogush, with me today. We're starting the show talking about one Shedeur Sanders because third string quarterbacks are not typically the storyline, but when you do the pantomiming thing that I can't even do on the radio because otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear what I'm saying, it becomes a national story. And here we are again talking about one Shedeur Sanders.
A weekly appearance for us and a daily appearance for Shedeur, who just can't stop doing this. And as you said, can't stop proving all of us right. Now, again, he deserved, quote unquote, to be picked sooner than he was in the draft. But this is why he fell, period. To whatever extent you want to think he should have fallen to, this is why he fell. Because the NFL decided that he was not necessarily, well, he was certainly not a day one starting quarterback.
Yep.
He was not a guy who, whatever negative, whatever non-positive, he was not a guy that you'd put up with that. He was going to be a backup. He was not going to play immediately. He might never have been your franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And that kind of guy can't put himself on the front page of ESPN.com on a Wednesday in the middle of the week when he's still the third string quarterback. And that is all that Shedeur Sanders and Dion and the rest of the family have done since he went to Cleveland is they can't stop talking about the situation. They can't stop making proclamations and declarations and doing this and saying that, which leads to questions and stories and radio shows and TV stand-ups about their son who's not playing. This is exactly what 97% of the NFL was scared of. And here we are again.
And it's crazy because none of this has anything to do, it seems at least from the front page of it, anything to do with Deion Sanders. A lot of the concern was going to be, is Deion going to be commenting a lot? Is Deion going to be in the coaching room? Is he going to be in the facility? Is he going to be visiting? Is he going to be this towering presence? But with this particular situation and a lot of these things, it's been basically just Shedeur stuff. And to catch you guys up on what happened yesterday, Shedeur Sanders obviously remains quarterback 3, even though the Browns announced that they will be elevating Dylan Gabriel, their third round quarterback that they drafted this past draft. They're going to be elevating him to QB1. Now, Joe Flacco, who had been starting, now goes to QB2. Sanders remains QB3. So, of course, there's conversations about, why is he not being moved up? Also, how does he feel about this? There's reasons to want to hear from Shedeur Sanders. And as he gets asked these questions by the media, he does what we are still trying to figure out, me and Bogush, because they're saying it's miming. But, I don't think mimes try to talk normally. They're usually only just trying to get out of a box or something. It's not, to me, mimes...
That's the one mime reel has. I'm in a box. But I think, that's it. They do physical gestures and movements to explain... It's a completely nonverbal, form of expression, art, acting, I don't know what. But, so yeah, I literally spent or started to spend way too much time being the nerd that I am, determining whether or not he actually was miming anything. Because all he did was he said things without actually saying them out loud. His mouth was moving. If you want to do some lip reading, go ahead. But that's not technically miming. But I gave up on that pursuit because that would have been a double waste of time.
And by the way, mimes I find completely lame. I'm not a mime guy. To me, they're like the lesser version of a clown. Like, to me, if you're going to do the clown thing, just go full tilt. I don't find it that interesting that you can get yourself in a box and out of a box without saying anything. I don't think that's not cool to me. I don't get it. I don't get the mime thing.
It's one of those levels of, like, again, art performance that I wonder what you started out to do that led you to ending up being a mime.
How did we end up here 4 minutes in?
Because that's how we roll.
This is Shedeur Sanders,
right?
Manny Rodriguez.
It's his fault.
Yes, this is where we're at. And
oh, my bad.
And you know, it was interesting because for a lot of folks, everyone was confused for a while. They were like, what is he even doing? Why is he doing this? And I want to play some sound because I don't think this story really got the national attention I would have expected maybe if this was during the summer. So last week, Shedeur Sanders made comments about feeling that he's ready to start, feeling that he can play right now, and
specifically said he was better than people playing in the league right now. Right. So he should say, I think I'm a starter. Right. I want to be out there. But when he flips it to I'm better than, and he didn't name names, but he indirectly named names, saying I know I'm better than guys playing right now.
Yes.
That's where I think it crossed the line for people.
Right, exactly. So he says there are guys out there that are playing that I feel like I'm better than I feel like I can play, which, again, you could be confident. I'm sure there are plenty of backups in the league who feel that way, who want to get a start. The problem is, obviously, you don't want to create headlines when you're the quarterback 3 on your team. And to be fair to him, though, I didn't feel like this story really picked up that much steam. It was ESPN Cleveland reporter, I believe, that had it. And I saw the headlines every now and then, but it wasn't like I saw everyone talking about this because maybe he's a third-string quarterback and we know he's nowhere close to seeing the field. One person did hear about this comment, and he got real mad. He got big mad. This is ESPN's Rex Ryan on Monday on Get Up, responding to Shedeur Sanders' claims that he's better than guys playing in the NFL.
Stefanski is one of an outstanding coach, all right? But why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders? We're all waiting to see the Shedeur Sanders be the guy or Gabriel, whatever. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
So apparently Adam Schefter yesterday comes out and says that this whole miming act, you know, something that you probably would see, you know, on Bourbon Street in New Orleans or somewhere outside of like the Cafe Du Monde. That's like the only time I've seen a mime in real life person. This was all apparently in a response to that rant. It was a response to Rex Ryan, who said, stop opening your mouth so much, get in the film room, study, and, you know, kind of be seen and not heard. And this was his response was to then do this.
Yeah, and this is the one thing that I guess goes in Shedeur's favor because I assumed at least, that whatever he was doing yesterday, whatever performance art that was about the job, was about the frustration, was about the depth chart, which was about not moving up. So I guess it's good that was not apparently directed at the Browns, at the situation, at Kevin Stefanski. But it only lessens the frustration a little bit because, again, he didn't need to respond to Rex Ryan. He didn't need to do anything that would have led to tweets and stories and radio segments, again, about the way he's handling himself.
Yeah, I mean, he just comes off very unserious. And it's very difficult to defend him at this point for me because when you say you're a starting NFL quarterback and there are guys out there that you're better than, what comes with being an NFL starting quarterback also comes with standing in front of the media, giving them non-answers, and then moving on with your day and creating zero headlines. Like, I think to me, he seems to still lack an understanding of really what it means to be an NFL star at the quarterback position. And I really wonder if a lot of this comes down to his mentor in a great one, because he is a great athlete and he has gotten Shedeur this far in his father. But I do wonder if some of this comes from Deion, because this is the way Deion would respond, right? Deion, threw a bucket of water on
Tim McCarver,
right? Like these are the kind of things that I would expect from wide receivers, DBs, other positions. But when you're the quarterback, you're the CEO of a team, and you can't be making these quote unquote, one-on-one beefs and making your actual news media gaggles about that. Because a lot of people didn't know what he was doing. A lot of people didn't even know why this was happening. So you're creating distraction. Now you got people leaping to conclusions that you're responding to the fact that the Browns made this big quarterback change, which was the news of the day.
Right.
I do think to me that is something that also concerns me with Shedeur is he thinks that he is still the center of the universe. He still thinks that everything revolves around him. There's a day in which they just announced a big quarterback change. He is unmoved in that depth chart. To me, if I was him, I'd be PO'd and I'd be wondering, what do I gotta do to get up in this thing? But instead of worrying about anything with that, anything about Dylan Gabriel, the fact that he's still QB3, he's worried about making a statement, a non-statement, so to speak, against Rex Ryan. And to me, that tells me you're unserious. It tells me you don't really understand what it is to be a starting NFL quarterback. And he shows a great lack of maturity to me.
Yeah, and this is all the things that people were concerned about.
Right.
And he's done a good job in a bad way of proving all of these fears correct, because it's always something. And like this, again, was a completely avoidable thing. As you pointed out, it wasn't like this had been hovering over him and people have been asking him about what did you hear what Rex Ryan said? Like this was a non-story.
Yep.
And then he made it something on a day where there was other stories. Like there was a headline around his team, and that's
With his position.
And that's the first line of all the major websites is Brown switched to Dylan Gabriel, and then the next story on the top headlines pane is that Shedeur did whatever he did, and why did he do it? And so again, in the end, is it helpful that his little performance wasn't about the Browns?
Yeah.
I guess so, but it didn't have to be anything. He could have answered this question as a professional. If he wanted to throw in some little kind of sarcastic remark about Rex, probably no big deal, right? But to do that, and then it ends because somebody in Brown's PR sees what's going on and walks over and was like, this has got to stop now. It's just, it doesn't accomplish anything. It's not helpful to his cause. It is preventing him from either moving up in Cleveland or somebody else outside of Cleveland wanting him to be on their roster at some point down the road. It's just, I just wish that somebody in that universe could counsel all of them just to take a couple of weeks off. Just sit back and let's see what happens.
Well, that brings us, I think, to a very important part of this. 888-710-4ISN, talking Shedeur Sanders here to start the show. Where is Deion and where is his team? Because I watched this to me, and again, when you think about a player who has an athlete father as your dad, you think you're going to be able to have access to great counsel, great agents, great people who can kind of train you through this. And in fact, the Browns also do this. Like every NFL team tells their players what the talking points are, what to expect from the media, and how to approach these situations, how to give them nothing. So whenever I see someone act out of character or fall out of line, this is them going rogue. So with Shedeur Sanders in this situation, it makes me wonder, between the comments last week and then this week, if you're Deion, at what point do you say, okay, listen, I need to get some real professionals around him to make sure he's okay to get through this rookie season? Because he's on a situation where Dylan Gabriel's going to go out there and play. And we don't really know how well it's going to go. I have an idea how it's going to go, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if Dylan Gabriel goes out there, he lights it up, Shedeur Sanders is out of here. There's going to be no reason for him to be on the team. And if you're Shedeur Sanders, you got to be thinking about how I am acting here is going to be evaluated by all the other 31 teams. So if you want to continue to play in the NFL and you want to continue to have shots and opportunities to get starts, you're going to want to take this accountability, responsibility in this opportunity that you have. You got to take it super seriously. So I wonder with the Sanders team, if they at any point will look at this and say, we need to maybe go outside of the family, so to speak, to help out Shedeur so he doesn't in any way shoot himself in the foot.
And let's not forget Shallow.
The big question, though, is does anybody, Deion or otherwise, think that what Shedeur did yesterday wasn't cool?
Well, that's the problem. Because to me, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because this whole thing that Shedeur did, it felt like this is someone who I think is reading the comments on his own Instagram post, who is reading the comments of stories that he posts or other people post about him. And if you pay attention to social media, which I'm too much on social media, he has a ton of fans. He has tons of fans in the media, by the way. He has media members who they were defending this yesterday. Like, there are people who love this guy and they defend this guy. And he has a great story. And I understand to some degree why he has so many fans. But to me, this felt very much like this is what everyone's thinking about. Everyone knows that I'm being railroaded. Everyone knows that Rex Ryan was out of line. Because there were people who commented about Rex Ryan. But again, if you're not in the Shedeur Sanders orbit or you're not in the Browns orbit, this was something that maybe you saw the headline and you moved on. You didn't really think about it that much. But to him, I think he thinks this was something that's going to be a lead story on every TV show and everything, because he has so many people that are on social media that are pumping him up. And I think he very much feeds into that. I think he's too much on social media. He's too online. Because if he was someone who was foxhole, turned everything off and said, I'm going to just lock into being QB3 and trying to move up the depth chart, I don't think he even knows that Rex Ryan said what he said. But he had people getting to him, whether it was his family or people or his fans saying, hey, this is what happened. You got railroaded. I think he felt, you know what? This is my time. I got to make a statement because everyone agrees with me that I'm being railroaded by this guy who's making comments that are out of line.
And I think it's disgusting.
And I think and we've discussed this more than once. I think you and I did it last week.
Yeah.
We went on the show normally. The other thing that works against them in this from the bigger picture is that he's not Deion. Deion was always Deion. Deion was always the best player on the field. Mm-hmm. Deion was never second fiddle, was never the backup. So however Deion behaved, it didn't matter because he was Deion.
Right.
And he was locking down an entire side of the field, scoring touchdowns. His play negated everything else.
Yeah.
Shedeur doesn't have that to lean on. Shedeur's got to play the game. Deion was the game.
Yeah.
Shedeur's got to fall in line. He just does. I mean, and that's not a dismissive thing. Mm-hmm. It's not. That's just the way life works. Like, you have to. Only a certain few people don't have the rules applied to them.
Right.
And Shedeur right now has not proven himself at all in the NFL that he's good enough to do things the way he wants to do. Right now, he's got to do them the way the people around them in charge want him to do them, because that's the only way he gets near a football field, is if he does his job and he basically just is a good soldier. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and all that.
And
all
he
that
can't do it.
And all that leverage he would have had was lost once the draft happened, right? Like, maybe there's an argument that he could have done a lot of this stuff or called a shot a little bit more if he had went in the first round like what was expected. That didn't happen. So you're right. At that point, now you have to play the hand that you're dealt, right? You can't just say, well, I have 3 aces anyway and say I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
888-710-4ISN. Get in. What do you feel about Shedeur Sanders and his antics during the media gaggle yesterday where he was miming or pantomiming or whatever? This is a game that, honestly, I don't know if you played this, but I've done this as like a middle schooler and an elementary schooler where you try to guess what the other person is saying by just moving your lips. There's actually a trend on TikTok.
It's called John Boy Media.
Is it John Boy Media? Well, I know, right? The lip readers. But no, there was actually a trend on TikTok that I don't think took off, but somebody was trying to do this thing where I saw AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers. They're a couple, and of course, AZ plays for UConn, and Paige Beckers, WNBA player, where they were trying to do a whisper challenge, but with like Bose headphones on. So they were trying to see, and they had to try to guess what they were saying. And I don't know if maybe Shedeur took inspiration from that. But whether he was miming, pantomiming, whatever you want to call it, it was a bizarre situation. So get in on what you think about it. 888-710-4ISN. And after the break, Bogus, I got to tell you something, because my research into Shedeur, you mentioned looking into pantomiming.
Pantomiming, yeah, not football.
I think it is interesting that you and I were on the same page to some degree, because I was willing to open up to any possibility of why this was happening. And I got inspiration from my own household to look further into Shedeur Sanders and something that maybe other people aren't discussing.
What did Lita do?
It was not Lita. It had nothing to do with Lita. But I was like, I got to figure something out because there's got to be something that I'm missing. I want to tell you guys about that after the break. It's EJ and Bogic in for Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. EJ Stewart, Andrew Bogish in for Maggie and Perloff this morning. The Shedeur Sanders situation, in my opinion, or at least for how I viewed it, you need to go much deeper to figure out what's going on. This is not a surface level, a typical NFL topic, you know, your typical one take here, one take there, you argue. I had to go much deeper than that to me because this was weird. I'd never seen it before. And I needed to get answers on what I was watching as Shedeur Sanders as he's being asked by the media yesterday after Dylan Gabriel's elevated QB1, his thoughts on it was miming or pantomiming or whatever. I just call
whispering.
I call it lower version of being a clown. Like if a clown's a master's degree, or a clown's a bachelor's. I think a mime is like associate degree, in my opinion. To me, I had to go much deeper, and I had to go to a place that most young people would go to find answers on things.
Comic books.
No.
Google.
No. TikTok.
ChatGPT. TikTok. Okay.
TikTok. Because I searched. Well, actually, to be fair, I started with Google. Because in my household, I talk about my fiance, my lovely fiance, Andrea. One of the things she's very passionate about is astrology.
Okay.
So I watched what I saw yesterday, and I was talking to Andrea about it, and she's like, "What's his birth chart?" And I was like, "You know what? We got to find out."
Uh-oh.
And if you're a young man in this great United States, I'm sure, and you've dealt with some young women, I'm sure you've been asked about your birth chart. If you're a mom in this situation, Bogish, your wife may be dealing with this maybe 10 years down the line. I'm sure you had your random son ask you, "Hey, when was I born?" That is because there's a girl who wants to learn more about the guy by learning their birth chart. So I went online and said,
I've never, ever dealt with this.
Oh, it's coming. I guarantee you it's coming. You're going to be dealing with a young Bogish is going to come up and say, "Mom, when was I born?" She's gonna ask, "Why do you need to know that?
What time?
Yep.
What
Where?
the year
What
and the
time?
date? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's gonna lie. He's gonna say, "Oh, just something I need to know." He's not gonna tell you the truth. The truth is, there's some young lady he likes, and they want more information about it.
Run away.
So I clearly did not, right? Because I'm still here.
So I mean, this is a plus in general because I don't believe at all in that
love?
stuff. No, and I don't want to hear about Pisces this and moons.
Oh,
and all
so
that kind of stuff.
you mean to tell me that you don't believe that the way that the stars are lined up is why life is happening the way that it is?
Correct.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I would normally shy away from those people, but your fiance, by all other accounts, is a remarkable person.
Yes.
So either this is her one flaw, or I've just been judging this group of people a little too harshly.
Well, listen, I've been one that I've been like open to astrology. I'm a Taurus, and I do think I have a lot of Taurus traits, but it goes a lot deeper than that. And there's someone on TikTok, Astrology Blitz, who after the draft did a whole breakdown on Shedeur Sanders. And what I had learned is obviously he's an Aquarius, which makes sense. He's kind of
Of course it does.
Yeah, no, obviously.
He's a creative.
Now
I
get it.
Someone who kind of goes by the beat of their own drum. But like what we learned more about him, because he was born at a certain time, most likely, because we don't know exactly when he was born, but just the way the days and the stars were, he's a Sagittarius moon. What this essentially meant from this guy's whole breakdown was that this was a person who had a lot of things come easy to them in life. This was someone who things came easy to them, whether it was just because of status, whether just because of athletic ability, and this was going to be something that was going to be interesting for them as they moved on in their life, because for someone who did not deal with a lot of challenges, how would they deal with it later on? And then what was interesting was he then also went to draft night and where the moon and the stars were, and this was a night where challenges were going to happen. He was going to face adversity. And the way it lined up and the way he explained it made it make so much sense. He also broke down how the link between him and Dion's astrology and how it's lined up so much where it's not surprising that this is someone who would have an outsized influence on his life. I mean, he just read the book on Shedeur Sanders. Like, you know what? This makes more sense. He's dealing with adversity. He's dealing with challenges. It's not someone who has been challenged. Like he said in the astrology breakdown, that's someone who's actually been given a lot of things. They've been just able to just walk into rooms and be handed things simply because of who they are. And now Shedeur is in a situation where that is not happening, and he didn't know how he would handle it. He just said that this is not something he's done very often. And now we're seeing, apparently he handles it by pantomiming to media members.
But how does this work now? Are you SOL as Shedeur because your stars and the moon are what they are? You just can't break this hex? How does this work?
So what was interesting about it was he said, with all this being said, because of his talent and because of where the NFL season lies in terms of like just the months in the year and where the stars are, he also expected that if Shedeur plays, he will play really well, which was fascinating because he played really well in that first game. He had a really bad second game, obviously. But his thought was, don't write him off for this year because it suggests that he will have some modicum of success when he plays.
Interesting. So, but if he try to play spring football, that might be bad for him.
Spring football might be bad, yes. But where the stars
Sorry,
are,
UFL, or whatever
stars
you're
are for
called.
the fall, and where things lined up, Shedeur
Birmingham
is apparently
Stallions just rescinded their Shedeur draft rights.
So I found that interesting. That like his astrology birth chart suggests as someone who has been handed a lot of things, has not had to deal with a lot of challenges, and it was kind of unsure how they would handle it, and also that the connection to their parent was very, very strong, and the parent having a lot of influence over their life would make a lot of sense.
I'm not sure I can follow you to interesting, but
I found it interesting.
But it is interesting that
who cares?
That it does line up so perfectly that it basically to a T has locked him in. So maybe the stars are right.
888-710 for ISN. Get in on Shedeur. Get in on astrology. I can take one more call here before we get to Gordon's update here. Let's go to Wayne in Dallas. Wants to talk Shedeur. What's up, Wayne?
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, I'm finna start this off real strong. I'm finna be strong. EJ, I normally agree with you. I disagree completely with you, man. Now, if you're looking to found a way to not like somebody or try to search from character flaw, you go those routes. What Shedeur Sanders doing ain't nothing wrong with it. Yeah, you can say it's a little immature, but he's doing a lot of this out of the frustration. All this is a clown show, man, because a lot of people know, look, even in this, they announced Gabriel the starter.
Mm-hmm.
They made Flacco the backup. How is Flacco going to go to the backup and Shedeur not the backup? So he's handling it with his meme thing from what I'm taking. This is all a joke. So why not joke with it? Because it's all a joke, man. And he's being punished for, I still believe, for his father and for him, whereas a certain still people in this nation that they don't like. I told y'all this before. You remember I called you about this a month ago. They do not like arrogant black folks that's real confident in themselves. And I believe that has a lot to do with this because we have seen, I go to the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. What's the difference really in their personalities? But one was being praised for it at first, and one was being villainized for it at first.
Yeah.
You know, with the so that's my thing. That's all this birthright. I'm a Sagittarius. All this searching for something and any little bitty, he got a speeding ticket. See, that's why he ain't a starting quarterback. He didn't answer that answer perfectly. That's why he ain't.
Yeah.
Let's stop reaching and let's just call it what it is, man. This is people attacking Deion. A lot of people didn't like Deion, the arrogance of Deion, and they see it in Shedeur, and they doing it to him. I would love to hear y'all talk about that.
But Wayne.
Wait, can you leave him on the air for just 1 second?
Right.
Wayne, before we get to the full answer, I just want to ask you one question because I certainly, I guess, lean into the kind of Shedeur detractor or trying to look at this as football-centric as possible.
Yeah.
Wayne, is it possible in your mind that Shedeur is simply not good enough at the quarterback position in the NFL right now to be any higher than number 3 on the Browns? Like, what if this is just the way it's supposed to be because of his football? Is that even possible? Can you accept that as a possibility in your mind?
But everything we've told, as far as the little tips and bits we get, that ain't what is. They saying he looked like the best quarterback in camp. You had players that they wouldn't put their names on it, going on record saying that. So that ain't what we're being told. So I can accept that, but that ain't what we've been told, like the narrative, the little bits and pieces that we've been hearing. So that's my thought on that.
All right, because I my frustration sometimes in these conversations, and even sometimes with Maggie, and she did it again yesterday, or I had the same reaction to something that she said yesterday, is that because she was making the argument, why isn't Shedeur the number 2 quarterback now? And first of all, this happens a lot. I mean, the Giants just did it. They demoted Russell Wilson to backup. They didn't bump Jameis Winston up to number 2 and Russ to number 3. And we've also seen it like this before when the third quarterback is a rookie. There are coaches that don't want, they're not, like the Browns, you should almost be thankful the way I look at it, because this is the Browns saying, we're not going to screw Shedeur by putting him in a game in the middle of a game when he might not be ready or at the last minute. Like that's like Joe Flacco is built better right now than Shedeur Sanders to replace an injured Dylan Gabriel, or if Dylan Gabriel gets out there on Sunday and throws 7 interceptions,
Right.
you go back to Joe Flacco in the game
Right.
because that's an easier transition for him. And then you can think about, okay, Shedeur's going to be my starter for the following weekend. You start him with a clean slate. So the idea that Shedeur is still number 3 is not an insult to Shedeur in my mind. But we keep working from the premise that, like, Shedeur deserves this or earned this or this is the Browns being the Browns. It is very possible that he's just not ready to play. And that's not dismissive of him. It's not a knock on him. It just might be the reality that he has not shown that he's ready to be out there yet because we're not in meetings. We're not at practice. We don't know when he takes a snap and drops back if he's making the wrong read, if he's making the wrong throw, if he's bailing too early. You know, that second preseason game is more in line with the way he comports himself and practices every single day, then he should be number 3.
No, I totally agree. And again, like the idea that the QB3 automatically gets moved up to QB2 when there's a change at the top spot, that doesn't always happen. And just quickly on the whole idea of the arrogant black athlete, I've talked about that on the show, and I talked about that about Shedeur. Shedeur is a nonconformist, something else that the astrology guy said. But he's a nonconformist, and in a sport that revolves around conformity, if they don't think your talent matches whatever headache they think you're going to cause, this is the kind of thing that can happen. My only counter to that would be, well, there are other 31 teams that Shedeur may want to play with, like. Maybe the Brown situation is a joke. Maybe it is just like a clown show and they don't know what they're doing. I tend to think that they are a clown show. And I think that how they handle the situation has been poorly since minicamp.
Since drafting the two of them.
Just drafting them, right? But at the end of the day, this is the league Shedeur wants to play in. He's not going to create his own NFL like we were talking about creating a new WNBA. That's not going to happen. This is the NFL that is. So if Shedeur Sanders wants to get the opportunity that you think he deserves, that I'm sure that he knows, that we know now that he thinks he deserves, you got to be able to play the game to some level. And pantomiming and making a mockery out of a situation that from the outside, yes, maybe seems questionable, but Dylan Gabriel being the third-round quarterback who was drafted ahead of him being moved up to number 1 is not some surprise or some shock. Like, to make that a mockery is just not doing him any favors. Like, at what point do you say, okay, forget about what's right or what's wrong? How are you going to get yourself out of this situation? I don't think this is helping him at all.
No, we would be ignorant to dismiss the idea of there being some kind of racial connection to all this. But that to me maybe pertains more to the draft. There might have been GMs, scouting directors who have the wrong thoughts in their head and just didn't like him because he's
brash, he's arrogant,
right?
Whatever,
and the color of his skin.
That
there's no way that's not in play. The percentage is the question that we don't have the answer to.
Yes.
But when we get to now, I'm still surprised by how many people who think coaches make decisions that aren't about winning. Which is what you're saying here is that the Browns would prefer to play an inferior quarterback to send Shedeur Sanders a message. That's not really how it goes.
Right.
Coaches want to win. Coaches want to save their jobs. They want to get extensions. At some point, they'll eat whatever crap is in front of them to get the best players on. It's why Joe Flacco's not playing, by the way. It's because he was so bad and they were so inept at his offense. Kevin Stefanski clearly took him off the field sooner than they were prepared to do because they want to win games. I promise you, if Shedeur Sanders was the best quarterback in that room, he would be playing Sunday in London.
Totally agree. 888-710-4ISN. Gordon Damer joins us with updates. What's up, Gordon?
EJ, Andrew, the Sports Flash sponsored by Prize Picks. Football is heating up, and so is the hard-hitting action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks. Use promo code PRIMETIME. Get $50 in bonus credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. You know, coming into the playoffs, not too many people had any confidence in the Cincinnati Reds. Well, they were right.
The 2-2 pitch. Ground ball, base hit right field. Ohtani pumps his fist as he runs up the line. Kike comes in from third. Rortvedt goes from first to third. 4-2 Dodgers as Ohtani comes through.
Yeah, Dodgers double up the Reds, 8-4.
Mets could have done this, by the way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
8-4, wrap up that series in 2. Mookie Betts, 4 hits, 3 ribbies. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 9 Ks over 6 2/3. That call courtesy of the Dodgers radio network. Dodgers advance to face the Phillies in the NLDS. So that series is done in 2. It's only series done in 2. Yankees and Red Sox, they're going to a Game 3. Yankees stave off elimination. 4-3 win over Boston last night. Austin Wells single in the 8th inning. Scored Jazz Chisholm from first to put the Bombers ahead to stay. That after working at a walk with 2 outs in the inning. Of course, all the talk about Jazz was that Aaron Boone had benched him back in Game 1.
A really good patient at bat, long at bat, where he's able to, he didn't get the jump to be able to steal a base there, but obviously moving on the pitch gave him a little bit of head start there, and his speed comes into play big time.
I know baseball's boring. Everyone likes to say that, but there's on the short list of most exciting kind of singular plays in all of sports is a runner like Jazz Chisholm, a fast runner, trying to score from first base on a double. You can just feel the energy building all the way around the bases, then the turn for home, the throw, the slide. That's
baseball.
That's baseball.
Can I remix that? Because I basically agree. But I think the only remix I'd have to it is any fast running going for 3 bases.
Yes.
Because to me,
triples are great.
Yeah, to me, one of my all-time favorite players is Jose Reyes. When he was in his prime, him legging out a triple was electric. Ricky Henderson legging out a triple was electric. I agree. I think whether it's a triple or you're going from first to home, those plays are some of the best plays in baseball.
That's baseball.
Susan.
Padres stay alive, 3-0 win over the Cubs. Dylan Cease and 3 relievers combined for the shutout there with 10 strikeouts. Mason Miller, Padres' big advantage is their bullpen. Mason Miller faced 5 batters. He struck out all 5 guys he faced.
Threw a pitch at 104.5.
God bless.
I say this with the utmost respect and reverence for this guy because he's one of my favorite players. This guy's an animal. He goes to the mound, and he's one of those guys that he strikes fear like those guys in the steroid era did, like Roger Clemens and Eric Gagne. When the Padres got him, I was like, this is the bullpen piece that makes the biggest difference. I think. I know he wasn't pitching as great in Sacramento, I guess, when they traded him, but he's gotten to San Diego and he's been an entirely different guy, and he is scary on that mound.
Padres on the loose.
Let's go, Goose.
Guardians, one of the worst records in winner-go-home games. They won a winner-go-home game yesterday. They forced a Game 3, beat the Tigers 6-1. You think the Tigers might regret this? 1 for 15.
Damn.
With runners in scoring position. They left 15
Mets could do that
men
too.
on base.
Is that bad, guys?
Maybe it's just expand the playoffs to more teams because the Mets could do what the Tigers and the Reds have been doing
Same.
Seriously.
Well, the Reds lost yesterday, so that would have meant the Mets lost yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
the only good thing in retrospect of the Mets not making the playoffs is that I'm awake right now. Because had they had to play back-to-back 9 p.m. games against the Dodgers and lost, I might not be here right now.
Very understandable.
Yeah.
Week 5.
So thanks, guys, for the collapse.
Week 5, looking for all the positives.
Exactly.
You can find. Yeah, still 3 days later. Week 5 kicks off tonight. Niners, Rams, no Brock Purdy. What about the Ravens, Lamar Jackson? Ravens play the Texans on Sunday. There was a report on Tuesday that Lamar could miss 2 to 3 weeks with that hamstring injury. If you were looking for any clarification from John Harbaugh, forget it.
We just kind of take it day by day through the week. You'll see the injury reports. It's really all those guys. I mean, we could sit here and you could ask me about every single guy, and it's a fairly long list. Who's got time for that?
Yeah, who's got time for that?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I mean, the Texans might like a heads up on who's going to play this weekend, but whatever.
Why is this allowed by them, by the way? NFL is usually pretty...
I mean, all they have to do today and yesterday and today is just say who practiced.
Right.
There's no designation for questionable out. That's up to them. They can make this all the way to Friday.
That's fair. I guess probably because Monday and then after the game, you're right, they don't have to say questionable whatever, but it just seemed like he was just saying, nobody has a season-ending injury. So
right.
That's a big, that's a wide range of wild guys can be. You could have a guy out maybe for 1 practice, a guy out for 10 weeks. That's not a whole season-ending injury. So it just feels almost Belichicking in how Harbaugh's handled it.
I do wonder what the Texans are doing this week because, in the past, the Ravens' backups have kind of been like Lamar Jackson, on a JV level, athletic. They're going to move around. That, to me, is not how Cooper Rush plays.
Right.
So you are making them think about 2 different types of quarterbacks.
Definitely.
Although I'm assuming you're still only spending like 10% of your time on Cooper Rush, with all due respect.
I do imagine that. And the last thing on the Ravens that I think is ironic because it lends into what we've been talking about is Shador didn't want to go there, and here we are.
Right.
Ravens don't have their starting quarterback, and Shador is pantomiming in the Browns locker room.
Right.
Shador.
At least you got John Harbaugh to confirm that Lamar Jackson is still on the team. It seemed like he was trying to.
He went that far.
He didn't want to give any information
Who's
at
Lamar?
all. Yeah.
That's so
Who's
funny.
this Lamar guy?
Thanks so much, Gordon.
Who
Coming up,
from what? What is he from?
Let's be very thankful for Gordon, too, because we had a little bit of a scheduling snafu late yesterday.
Yes.
Where there wasn't going to be a Gordon. And
Oh, yes.
So very thankful that Gordon was available at 8 o'clock last night to come in at the last second to be me while I'm here being Perloff.
Well, as someone who has done a show, this very show, where there wasn't an update anchor and having to do double duty.
Yeah.
That not fun.
No, and if I'm being selfish, like, you know, half the benefit of hanging out with you right now is that at 10 o'clock we're done.
That is true.
So if I had to like stay for updates, again, I might have just quit. So I could, the Mets playing late, no Gordon, there were a lot of
touch and go things that may have meant
I was
Bogey's not
very
working
much,
every day.
I was doubtful for a lot of reasons.
Yesterday about 8:15, we couldn't find EJ for the phone call.
Oh,
We
yeah,
didn't have an update guy. It was a lot of panic coming from Long Island yesterday
You
around
guys
8:15
are
Eastern.
very lucky we are on the air this morning.
It's a miracle we're here.
Don't worry, Maggie Perloff. Everything's fine. I promise everything is fine.
When does Manny spin the wheel of livestock and Eastern European country to tell us where they are today?
Estonia, Manny? Is that the guest today?
No, they're in Latvia.
Oh, with what? Ox?
I don't know what they have in Latvia. I know they have nice beaches, though. I think Riga is a city beach. I believe that's the capital of Latvia as well.
I'd say they have Kristaps Porzingis, but he's in a training camp, so he's in Atlanta or wherever they train for the Hawks. 888-710-4, I said.
Phones are busy. The Cowboys are busy as well. Speaking of phones, Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons are not talking because maybe we have the reason now. All of that when we come back. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff on this Thursday morning. Andrew Bogusch, EJ Stewart in for Mom and Dad. They are back like normal tomorrow. Manny's dancing behind the glass.
I love Rihanna.
Apparently, though, you can't see Manny right now.
Yeah.
The stream is up and running, but the one camera pointed at Manny is not functioning. So sorry, ladies. Get your Manny fix later this morning, hopefully.
Little Instagram, E_Rod_24. You can see that
There it
handsome
is.
mug right there.
Let's jump right back on the phone lines. Ramon in Indianapolis is with us here this morning. Ramon, what's going on?